manuscript up. We have a facilitator here in the person of Flavia Odio York. I hope I pronounced that properly. And then we have a guest speaker in the person of Professor Oluwadi Akende. I'm going to hand over to Flavor right now. It's a 1-hour meeting, and we hope to keep to time. Thank you very much for coming on time. Over to you, Flavor.
All right, Prof. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. I hope you can hear me. Hello.
Please go ahead. We can hear you.
All right. So my name is Flavio Odreyok. I am a lecturer at the Cape Coast Technical University. Basically, I'm into renewable energy technologies. All right. So today we'll be looking at the essence of publishing manuscripts in top journals. And our speaker for today is Professor Oluwadiwa Akinde. I believe I've mentioned it right. Prof, please forgive me if I'm not able to mention your name right. And so I just want you people to bear in mind that this session will be recorded. And if you have any questions, kindly drop it in the chat box. Thank you very much. So basically, Prof, our speaker for today is a distinguished professor. He is a professor in surgery, and he is currently at Ekiti State University in Nigeria, and is the Dean of Faculty of Clinical Sciences in Ekiti State University. And I said earlier on, he's a professor of surgery and at the same Ekiti State University. And he's also a consultant orthopedic surgeon at Ekiti State University Teaching Hospital, Edo. Professor he has several professional qualifications, and he has won several awards. Basically, when I was going through his CV, it was very amazing. And in summary, I just want to also say that Prof has several research papers, and he has more than 5,000 citations. So it's really a blessing to have him as our speaker today to brief us on manuscript writing. So, Prof.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes, Prof. So, your participants are ready.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, Prof. Thank you very much.
I know that if I'm to pronounce your name, I won't do as good as you did. So, thank you so much.
Okay. You're welcome, Prof.
Without wasting time, I'm just going to go straight to the topic because I have only 40 minutes to present this slide. So I'm going to share my screen with everybody. And please tell me if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen, please. Yes.
All right, thank you very much. So the topic here, first let me thank the organizers for inviting me for this. Dr. Upong and I have been coming for quite a long time. We've been together since the late 90s during the height of the residency training. And I could remember us putting up three months salary then to buy our first desktop computer. That was in 1997 or thereabout. And here we are now. We go around with laptops and smartphones, and then in the early days of AI. So you are welcome to this seminar. And the title, like you see, is Essence of Publishing Manuscripts in Top Journal. Okay, and basically this is the outline that I'm going to follow throughout. And so I'm going to start with this question: what is a top-rated journal? Okay, basically there are many definitions, but the most important ones are listed here. The first one is that it must have a high impact factor or site score. Okay. And there are many measures of impact. We won't be going into that, but just know that things like Scimago score and all those ones are ways of measuring impact factor of journals, not of individuals. Okay, and basically another thing that comes high up is the reputation among scholars. When somebody talk about Lancet, talk about Nature, automatically you know that you are talking of journals that are very top rated. Okay, and so therefore that one is equally important. But as far as this presentation is concerned, we are going to be as technical as possible, and that is going to be our definition of a top rated journal, and that is a journal that is in Scimago Q1 or Q2 quantile journal ranking, which you can of course get in the website of Scimago at scimago.org. Okay, so basically I'm going to move on to the first of these several sections that I have on. The first one is, what is the importance of publishing in top-rated journals? And we are going to look at one, why we need to do it, and second one is the benefits of publishing in top-rated journals. Okay, and if you look at importance and benefits, you would think that, well, they are close. I mean, what is really the difference between the two of them? They are closely related, but there are some difference between the two of them. And most important is that importance speaks of the overall value of quality of your publications. Okay? In other words, it looks at it holistically. Why the benefits are those things that accrue to you as an individual researcher, or on occasions also to your institution. Okay, so we are going to take each one of them one by one. So, like I said, the importance refers to overall value of high quality publications. Okay, and it rewards the individuals or the institutions, and as we are going to see, you can see some of those attributes. Okay, the most important one is actually that it impacts clinical practice and treatment of diseases. When you look at clinical practice guidelines, like when you look at evidence-based medicine guidelines, you tend to look, you see, different articles that are included. And when you look at these articles, most of those articles are from high impact journals. Okay, and also when you are looking at when people are talking about the reliability of systematic reviews and co, some of the things they mention actually include the rigors of individual journals. Individual articles that are included in those systematic reviews, and sometimes the outcome of systematic reviews are actually not as important as the type of journals, the type of articles that are included in those systematic reviews. And when you publish your articles in high impact journals, the possibility that your article is going to be included in this important list of clinical practice and treatment of diseases is very high. And my most important experience was actually when I saw one of my articles in some of those guidelines when I was a little bit younger in my career. And it's one of those things that actually gingered me on, okay, to actually do more of researches. Then the second one is, of course, this one is also related to the first one. Articles published in high impact journals are more likely to be cited and by policymakers. Okay, and finally, when you publish articles in a TJR, you discover that you are more likely to also impact the future direction of of research in your area, because your articles is more likely to be read by many, and therefore it's going to actually affect and influence how other researchers go on about experimenting the same knowledge base. And of course, the first one is also your article is more likely to be included in the database. Meanwhile, benefits, on the other hand, are more focused. They are more personal. They are things that you enjoy as a result of what you have done. So what are the benefits of publishing interpreted journals? And as you can see here, one of the most important ones is, of course, it increases your visibility and credibility so that when they do your Google index and the index on ResearchGate and Scopus, you see that your score is high in such. And there are many institutions now, especially overseas, that actually take that one into consideration when considering whether to actually appoint somebody, to appoint researchers or not. And of course, also with career advancement, that's part of the thing. Networking is equally important when you're highly cited and someone from overseas wants to carry out a research in your area, in your country. They are more likely to, when they Google your name or search for your name on PubMed, they are more likely to see. When they search for they are more likely to come across your, what is going on? Sorry, I'm having, sorry, let me just point up. Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
All right. Okay, and of course, there's also the issue of increased citations, and every one of us knows the, what do you call it, the importance of increased citations, especially when it comes to your visibility. Okay, so we are moving on to section 2 now, how to publish interpreted journals. And under this one, we are going to go through those subtopics, identifying the right journal, writing a strong manuscript, submitting the manuscript, responding to reviewers' comments. Okay, identifying the right journal. Okay, one of the most important things is, of course, for you to identify the right journal. Okay, and the right journal will depend on a lot of factors. Okay, one of them is the scope of the journal. Okay, and this one you will often find them on the journal website. Okay, where they will list what their scope is, what aspect of medical knowledge they are involved in. And this is one of the most crucial decisions that we are going to make, because if you submit your article to the wrong journal, your article to a journal that doesn't cover the topic of your article, then of course it's going to be rejected outrightly, okay, at the level of at the editor's level. And then of course, considering the audience is also very important. Okay, I will give an example. For example, if you are doing basic medical research, you won't go ahead and publish the results of your research in a clinical journal. Okay, you will rather look for journals in basic medical research to publish there, because if you do it in a clinical journal, probably nobody, even if the journal decide to publish it, your audience is going to be reduced. Okay, and also important is the journal's impact factor, which is, of course, is a measure of a journal's prestige. Okay, and the average number of citations per article published in the journal. That's actually the definition of an HI index. Okay, and usually you should look for a journal with high impact factor, especially if your research is of a very high quality. And then you also need to look at the journal's submission requirement. Okay, this is extremely important. Usually you find it under guidelines for authors. And it is crucial that you look at this very well, meticulously. Okay, look whether your manuscript meets their formatting, their length, and other requirements. Okay, you want to also look at whether your manuscript is, is using the same referencing style the journal wants, because these are the first things that the editorial committee, the editor is going to look at. If you don't follow these submission requirements to the letter, then most likely your article is going to be sent back at that stage without even meriting reviewers' attention. And for those of us who are still young, okay, is one of the best way to do this is for you to seek advice from your seniors and your mentors. Okay, I remember doing it when I was just coming out of my residency program, and I was writing I was collating data on surgeries that have been done at UAUTFC. I remember that I had to go to Professor Ogini and lead Professor Adesukam to ask them for advice and some other things. Okay, so this is extremely important here. And this is something that is not well established in most universities in our own environment. So it behoves you as a young researcher to actually seek out those researchers, more senior researchers that can help you. And one of the ways of doing it is, of course, your seniors in the same unit, okay, in the same department, are the ones that you can most easily approach for this. Okay, and of course, this last item is extremely important. Okay, the cost of publishing in the journal. This is crucial in our own environment because many a time authors have to bear the cost of publishing their articles. So it will be very non-productive if, after going through the process of reading, making sure that your article is structured in compliance with the journal requirements and everything, and you discover that, oh, I can't pay for this. This is asking for $3,000, which is more than what an average researcher is earning per month in Africa. And of course, that means you have to undo everything that you've done. So it is extremely important for you. In fact, for me, that is what I do. The first thing I do is, of course, to go and look at the cost of publishing in the journal. Okay. Now, after you've determined that, my article is good enough and everything, the next thing is you want to make sure that your article is structured in such a way that it follows the journal's guidelines to the letter. Okay, one of the best way of doing this is for you to actually put the journal's guideline next to you while the article is there, and be following each point in the journal guideline. You look it over in your article. For example, if they say the table should be formatted in so manner, then you look over your article to be sure that your tables are formatted along that line. These are very, very easy. These are low-hanging fruits that you need to focus on. Okay, at least if you are able to do that one, then you can now focus on the more important aspect of the rigors. Okay, now the second one is your abstract must be striking, even beyond the purpose of actually submitting your journal. Your article. Studies have shown that close to about 50% of manuscripts that you submit, that are online, are never read. Okay, and then a further large percentage of that, only their abstracts are read. Less than 20 to 30% of articles are read in full. So therefore, when you write a very good abstract that is striking, okay, it is going to attract whoever is reading the abstract to try and read the rest of the article. So abstract is extremely important. And by the way, also, so is the, what do you call it? The title of the manuscript. And if you go through Strobe's guidelines, there are actually guidelines to writing your article. Okay, I mean, writing the title of your article as well. For many, it must also include your design, okay, and your population. Okay, you must cite it in your article. Okay, so if you go to Strobe's guidelines, okay, or consult guidelines, you may be able to see all these ones. And your introduction, it goes without saying that your introduction also needs to be very informative and attractive. Your results, okay, should be presented in a very clear and concise manner and straight to the point. One clear rule is that when whatever you have on the table, don't let it reflect also in your, what do you call it, in your prose and vice versa. Okay. Finally, you must pay attention to your grammar, your spelling, and your formatting. Okay. Extremely important. Nowadays, there are some software available on the internet that may help you. Even Microsoft Word itself, it has spelling checks. Okay. If you are using Microsoft 365, it has an editor that can actually edit a lot of your grammar. Okay, and there are softwares like Quillbots, softwares like Grammarly that can help you in structuring your sentences. Quillbot especially can help you in paraphrasing your sentences. And for those of us who are speaking English, using English as our second language, sometimes or most of the time we tend to think in our language and then we translate them to English, and that makes for very unwieldy grammar, especially to native speakers. Okay, many times you will receive reviewers comment that says, okay, you need to improve the structure of your English, that if you can use what do you call it, native speakers to go over it, it will help. Okay, and therefore that is the reason why paraphrasing truths can actually help you in this instance. And I recommend Quillbot because it's a very, very good paraphrasing tool. Quill as in pen, Quillbot. Okay. Now, when you want to submit your manuscript, again, you must follow the journal submission guidelines. Then a lot of many journals actually require that you write a cover letter. And a lot of us look at cover letter as something that is extraneous. No, it is not. Because sometimes that is all the journal editor read. And then we'll decide whether to look over your articles or not. Okay. And then sometimes when they ask us to submit name of reviewers, it is very important for us to submit those reviewers that you feel will be fair, okay, to you, and at the same time produce constructive feedback on your article. Okay. Now, item number 4 there is pre-printing, like in an ARVIX, another pre-printing body, okay, like OSF, OSF, yes, ARVIX, and so on. Quite a lot of present, what do you call it? Publishers also have pre-print facilities. And pre-printing is actually very important. It came into force during COVID-19, and it's actually a way of making sure that your article has visibilities. Okay, I've been using this facility for almost 2 to 3 years now, and I've discovered that my preprint will appear in research and so on and so forth. And it also helps in actually increasing your visibility. Finally, you must be patient. One of the problems that young ones have is when they feel that, oh, this is taking too long, this is taking too long. Yeah, it can't take too long. I've had experience of actually waiting more than 2 years for my article to be published. And let me say also that if you publish in traditional subscription-based model of journal, then you are more likely to have that that kind of encounter, okay, because their process of reviewing may be slower than you have with open access journals, okay. And finally, if you are lucky, and I can say that for top-rated journal, less than 10 to 15% of their articles are actually accepted for review. So if you are lucky that your article is accepted, okay, and has been seen by reviewers, and they recommend for you to do some editing, it is very important, extremely important for you to read and understand the comments very, very well. Some of those comments can be mendacious. They can actually look a little bit cryptic, but it is your duty to go through them and make sure you understand them, and then you respond to those, okay? You must make sure to respond to each comment and be very respectful. Even if you feel that reviewers are unfair, you must still be respectful in your comment. And if you have to disagree with their views, you must provide evidence to support your position. And while you are doing it, also be very respectful. Okay, be sure to make your revisions carefully. And since you have many authors, also discuss this with all your authors, as they may have different views of reviewers' comments and be able to offer more constructive comments. Okay, section 4 is now focusing on the journals themselves. What are the journal publishing models that we know of? We've heard of open access journal and so on. Open access journals are just one aspect of journal publishing models that are available. So we are going to look at some of those right now. Like I said, open access journal. In open access journal, basically what happens is that you or your sponsors, you pay, okay? You pay a fee to the publisher, okay, so that your article can be made available to readers. And you have many grades of open access. You have gold, okay, and then we have green and so on and so forth. Gold is where you pay a lot of money so that your article is made freely available to readers immediately, okay. Whereas green can take a longer time, okay. We also have subscription-based publishing, which is what we were used to when we were, early in our own career. Open access publishing is a child of the 20th century. 21st century. Before that, what we have was subscription-based publishing, where readers pay a fee, okay. Then nowadays we have hybrid publishing as well, which is a combination of subscription and open access. Authors decide on which one they want, okay. If you have the money, you do open access. If you don't have, then you do the subscription type, okay. Now the fourth one is actually very important, and this is society or institutionalized publishing. These are usually not-for-profit organizations, okay. And so, frankly speaking, a lot of journals in Nigeria and Africa are based on this, okay. And as a result of that, usually the article processing charge is usually small compared to what you have with open access publishing. The final one there is predatory publishing, which we are going to talk about later, okay. Now, the challenges of publishing high article processing charge journals is basically because the financial burdens for authors is, I imagine somebody in Nigeria being asked to pay $3,000 for an article. And you know that for many of us, we actually pay for this out of pocket. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of us probably are not publishing in this these high APC journals. And as a result, it represents a barrier to publishing high quality research from our own end, because there are some people who, because of that, they are not interested in publishing at all, okay? And of course, it leads to inequality in publishing, okay? And, but no, I mean, publishing in no to low article processing charge journals also present its own challenges, okay? Because such journals have limited resources. They may not have enough wherewithal to actually pay for, to actually process peer review, okay, and other publishing processes, okay? And their reviews may take longer than usual, and sometimes because of all these things, they may produce low quality articles. Also, unwarranted sometimes, but many low APC journals actually have poor reputations because, you know, a lot of people think that when you pay a lot for something, when something is expensive, then automatically it must be of good quality. It's not always the same. I mean, that way, but that's the way we are structured to think. Okay, a lot of low APC journals also do not have indexing. They are not indexed with databases such as PubMed and Scopus, and as such, their visibility is low. Okay, and quite a lot of these articles also, a lot of these journals also fall within predatory publishing. Okay, so what they do here is to charge very low. To charge low for publication, and the model is that that will attract a lot of people onto their publishing platform, and then they'll be able to make a lot of money. And that is, of course, the models that has been used by African traders for a long time, since time immemorial. So it's not surprising that these predatory publishers are using the same kind of approach. Of course, there is also the issue of lack of transparency. Okay, now we move on to open access journals. Okay, one of the most important benefits of open access journal is, of course, your article is immediately visible to everybody. Everybody can access it, and therefore it increases your readership and your citations of research. Okay, and based on that also, the impact of your article is increased. Okay. Also, as a result of that, your article will be rapidly disseminated, as we see on ResearchGate, whereby articles from all ages, you access them very easily on ResearchGate. Okay. And then also once your article is widely available, one, and then two, because the journals make it free, then readers can use those articles any way they feel like, and that tends to increase the tendency to reuse it, and also improve the reproducibility of the research. Everything means that with open access journals, then both research quality and research quantity is improved. But there are challenges. One of the most important ones is the fact that they almost always have high article processing charges, which turn off a lot of people, a lot of authors from our own background. Okay. And also predatory publishing is almost always limited. It's almost always a function of OAJS, okay, open access journals. Okay. Most subscription-based journals, they don't, and especially the high to medium, to moderate subscription-based journals, they are not usually involved in predatory publishing. Okay. Now, when we were young in academia, open access journals tend to have, and people tend to believe that, well, they are of lower quality and so on. That's no longer the case, okay, because they have come of age. But still, quite a lot of open access journals are of low quality. Okay, so how do you find reputable open access journals? One of the most important ways, of course, to check the journal's indexing and impact factor, and make sure you consider indexing and impact factors that are well recognized. There are lots of impact factors now from obscure entities, all with the aim of bringing out spurious impact factors. Okay, So Web of Science and what's the name of this now? The publishers of okay. Then another way of doing it is to check the editorial board. Okay, you check the editorial board of the journal. This is extremely important because a lot of time when you check you see a journal claiming to be based in US, okay, and all the editorial boards, they are found some in an obscure place, okay. And then also you look for accreditation of such a journal, especially by the Directory of Open Access Journal, DOAJ. Okay, DOAJ has a white list on their journals, I mean on their website, which you can look at to check whether such an open access journal is there. And I forgot to add this, in Africa also, the presence of a journal on African Journal Online is also indicative that that journal is not likely to be a predatory journal. One of the reasons why this is so is because before you can join many of these bodies, okay, DOAJs, African Journal Online, you need to go through some steps, okay, that will show that you have a good presence online, you have good publishing, peer review, publication, ethics, and things like that. So therefore, once you are available on their platform, it shows that you've been able to actually, at least you've been able to go through some processes, and therefore you are not likely to be, that journal is not likely to be a predatory journal. And finally, you can always see, this is the last part, always seek advice from your colleagues. Two heads are always better than one. Section 5, institutional promotion, and here we are going to look at it. What are the institutional requirements and challenges of institutional promotion criteria? Okay, so these are some of the challenges of institutional promotion criteria. The first one is emphasis on high impact factor, means that a lot of academics are placed under undue pressure, okay, for them to publish an impact factor, okay. And then some institutions, they tend to have poor recognition of what do you call it, of open access journals, which is not always merited, okay. Finally, this is extremely important because with new technologies comes new ways of publishing knowledge, okay. Most institutions tend to favor traditional peer review articles, but new formats, especially data sets, okay, software or digital media, are gaining ascendancy, and institutions need to look at their guidelines on promotion again, okay, so that they will include all these new forms of publishing in their promotion guideline, okay. And then finally, limited recognition for collaborative work. This is one problem that is faced by colleges of medicine in many universities. I remembered when I joined Ekiti State University, and one of the problems we're having is the university, tend to look down on multiple authorship, and we have to make them realize that in College of Medicine, especially, multiple authorship is encouraged, okay, and so therefore they actually have to produce a new guideline following, for College of Medicine in order to include this. And when I got to Sierra Leone here, I also discovered that they're having that challenges in their university here, and we have to, as a result of that, we have to modify the existing regulations. Okay, so how do you avoid predatory journals? Okay, basically, a predatory journal is a journal that exploits the open access model by charging authors high fees. And this is the important part, without providing editorial and peer review services expected of a legitimate scholarly journal. They just pocket your money without doing the need. Okay, so how do you, why do you need to avoid predatory journals? Almost uniformly, they are of low quality. Okay, and as a result of that, they are waste of resources, because when, usually people don't reckon much with them. People will not quote them, they won't cite them. So therefore, the citation impact will be low. Okay, they also lack credibility. And when you publish in such a journal, that lack of credibility also tend to wash off on you. Okay, and many of them, they are not indexed at all. Okay, and as a result of that, in many universities, the weight that they get when it comes to the weight they get in citation, in calculating points, and the guideline is quite very low. Okay, and of course, there are also the issue of ethical concerns. Okay, because many of these journals, what they are doing is actually unethical, and as a result of that, it may rub off on the authors actually publishing there, and therefore it may instill in those authors the tendency to be unethical in their subsequent research. Okay, and finally, like I said, if you are not indexed, it's not likely that you are going to have much impact, and therefore predatory journals are of low impact, and therefore whatever you publish there most of the time is useless, and it's just a lot of wasted prints. Okay, so how do you recognize predatory journals? One of the most important ones is the uniformly poor quality. Okay, when you look to their website, the website is poorly made. It's poorly formed, it's poorly maintained, and you see simple structural errors, grammatical errors, and all those things, all on their websites. Okay, and almost uniformly also they charge high fees. But like I said before, some low APC journals also are predatory, and what those ones are looking at is volume catchment. Okay, they catch a lot of people, a lot of authors who pay low fees, and in that way they actually increase their income. Okay, now a lot of time when you open your mail, you find emails from journals soliciting for articles, or soliciting that you become an editor on their editorial board. All these ones are signs, okay, of predatory journals, and ideally we should not be responding to such. Okay, when you go onto their website, most of the time important informations are lacking, or when they are present, they are obscured, and they are couched in languages that are not very clear. This lack of transparency is one of the qualities of predatory journals, and should alert you, okay, to that fact. And of course, lack of indexing. When you check, many of them are not indexed. And if they claim they are indexed, when you check the indexing body, you discover they are not there. I've done that a lot of times on PubMed. When a journal will be claiming that it is indexed on PubMed, when I go on PubMed and search for the journal, I won't find its name on PubMed. So it's important for us to know that. Finally, they give you misleading names. Okay, you may see, and this one, you see it a lot. They call it International Journal of so. International Journal of Medical Research. You may say International Journal of Natural Research, things like that. So when you look at those names, okay, they are initially attractive, or they have a semblance to an established journal. Okay, when you encounter things like that, you must you must start suspecting that you are dealing with predatory journals, and therefore look at their profiles a bit more carefully, okay, using all the other criteria that we have listed here so that they can help you, okay. These are other things that, of course, you also look at. The journal's reputation. For example, if the Directory of Open Access Journals does not list the journal, or if it is not present on AJON, those are some of the things that you check for. You check for the editorial board. We'll talk about the wary of unsolicited emails, and also checking their websites. Okay, and this last part is the one I want you to also look at, and that is proprietary lists. There are certain lists that are maintained by certain bodies, okay, which tends to show whether, if a journal is an open access journal or not. A Directory of Open Access Journal maintains a white list, okay, and if you are not sure about that journal, you should look at that white list. If the name is there, then you are sure that definitely at least this one follows the guideline of DOAJ, and therefore it's not likely to be predatory. Cabell's list is also like that, but Cabell's list is proprietary, and you have to pay for it. Now, Bill's list. Bill was actually a librarian in the US, and around 2005, he started researching on predatory journals. Okay, he produced a lot of criteria, and then he started listing predatory journals as well as predatory publishers, and this became very, very popular, and it is called Bill's List. Unfortunately, it is no longer being maintained because a lot of publishers actually went after him, but you can still find them on web archives. I'm aware that quite a lot of publishers that are now acceptable actually were on that Bill's list. Idawi used to be on that Bill's list when it was active. But be as it may, all these ones are guides, okay? Basically, you can't just use just one criteria to pronounce that a journal is predatory. Rather, you pull in all these criteria together, and then based on that, okay, you can now determine, oh, should I publish in this? Should I not? If you think it is predatory for any reason at all, it is preferred for you not to publish in that journal. Okay, so I'm about to leave now, but I mean to end this topic. But before I do, I want us to look at this cautionary tales. Okay, here is an article: why most published research findings are false. This article was published in 2005. Okay, on PLOS Medicine, and it is still one of the most downloadable articles ever, and it has that title. Okay, and this is a quote from the abstract. Simulations show that for most study designs and settings, it is most likely for a research claim to be false than true. Moreover, for many current scientific fields, claimed research findings may often be simple, accurate measures of the prevailing bias. Okay, another one, contradicted and initial stronger effects in highly cited clinical research. The rate of findings that have later been found to be wrong or exaggerated has been found to be 30% for please take note of this, for the topmost widely cited randomized controlled trials in the world's highest quality medical journals. For non-randomized trials, that number rises to an astonishing 5 out of 6. When we are talking of topmost widely cited randomized, this author just took 4 journals, including Lancet, Nature, New England Journal of Medicine, and one other one, and then pick 1,000 topmost articles from this. Okay, and then put them to analysis. Okay, comparing them when they were first published to later manuscripts that were published on the same topic, and they found that up to 30% of article of randomized trials, okay, were found to be wrong or exaggerated, and those are in highly cited journals. The last cautionary tale is that even when your article is cool, most clinical research is actually not useful. Like I was saying before, majority of articles published are not actually read by anybody. Okay, when you look at your Google citation and everything, you will be lucky if up to 60% of your articles are ever cited. The remaining 40% are not. Okay, so all these are cautionary tales, and it tells us that nobody is free, okay, from all these little issues that comes with research. And as a reason, we need to be very, very careful, follow rigors, make sure that everything we do it according to scientific ethics. In so doing, then we'll be proud of whatever we do. Okay, like these people said, the true test of research is not whether it tells us what we want us to hear, but whether it tells us what we need to know. Okay, writing the perfect paper is a lot like a military operation. It takes discipline, foresight, research, strategy, and if done right, ends in total victory. And that victory is when you are cited many times. So, if you want more materials like this, my website is there, and then my YouTube channel is also there. And if you want a copy of this this PowerPoint, please get across to the organizers. I will pass it along to them, or you can email me at oluwadiya@gmail.com. Thank you very much for this. Thank you. Hello.
Flavor, please go ahead. Apologies, I pronounced your name wrongly. Please go ahead. Yeah.
No, I finished.
Oh, okay. All right. So thank you very much, Professor Oluwadiya. That was brilliant. There are a number of questions in the chat box that we need you to please respond to. I'll read a few to you and then call you. Of course, you have many complimentary mails saying thank you. One says, I am concerned with preprints. Please, how do you manage preprints, especially when the preprint will also be published along with the article? Can we quote preprints? Thank you. Over.
Thank you so much. First, many preprinting organizations, just like OSF, I have experience with that one. That is Open Science Repository OSF. It is free. Okay, you can also put your data and everything there. You know, nowadays, most journals also expect you to actually put your data online so that people can have access to them. Okay, organizations like OSF actually helps you to store your data online, and they also have this printing, preprint facilities. I'm also aware, for example, SVIA also have another body that does it for them. Usually, preprint is what it says. When you put up your article for print, you are giving a DOI, okay, and that means you have a permanent internet archive, and a lot of indexing bodies, okay, can also index it. All right, and publishers, when you go on many publishers' websites, they will also I mean, they also have sections on their guidelines, their attitudes towards preprint. So if you want what a publisher thought about preprint, or before you publish preprint, okay, ideally you should check your publisher website to see what their attitude is towards preprint. Quite a lot of them accept preprints, okay, and it depends on the journal. Some journal I can allow you to quote preprint, okay, while others do not. Like I said, it depends on it. But the bottom line is that preprint increases your visibility, one, and then also help to lay down the marker. Okay, when you put up preprint, it shows that you have started that work, and if there is going to be any what do you call it, if they are going to talk about, oh, who did this one first or not, the fact that you've done that, I mean, you put a preprint first on that topic, shows that basically you have the mandate as far as that one is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you. That's enlightening. There is a question about AI. What's the role of AI in publishing, and how can you use it ethically? But I'm also taking this along with somebody asking about the consequences of publishing in Predator Journal. I think you already answered that. If you get access to the journal, to the slides, you will get it, so you can look that up. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, AI. Thank you for asking this. This is all the rage now, and I've adduced to it in my presentation. Okay, AI means artificial intelligence, and if you have been reading, what do you call it, the news, watching some of the headlines, you see that Chat GPT, which means GPT means generative. What do you call it? Generative pre-training transformative chat. GPT is actually the artificial intelligence that is covering, that is all the rage now. And basically, they are large language model. And what large language model means is that they can converse with you, okay, as if they are human beings. Okay, so instead of just the former way you used to talk, you used to interact with computers, now you can ask them questions and they will answer you in conversation too. Okay, and they do a lot like that than that. Nowadays, they generate images, and they can compose articles. In fact, people have used them to write novels, and there are stories that Chat GPT, which is actually level 4 now, actually passed the USMLE exams, and it was in the 85th percentile. Okay, it also passed the law exam. Okay, and it can summarize things for you. If you put your symptoms online, it will talk to you. It will treat it. If you say act like a doctor, it will make your diagnosis for you and do a lot of things. It is endless. And I tell people really that this is the beginning. And what people are saying is that the effect of AI on our civilization will be as important as the effect of the printing press, as the effect of the internet, okay, on civilization. And if you can cast your mind back, the effect of internet on our civilization, the effect of printing on our civilization, then you can know what is in store for us here. Okay, so the bottom line is that for those of you listening, you need to look into this further. AI, when somebody asks me this question, AI can be unethical to use if you use it unethically. They are just tools. When you use them unethically, they are unethical. Okay, but what AI does beautifully is to remove the what I called the humdrum, the routine from your work. Okay, so that you can focus on what is important. Okay, for example, let me give you an example now. If you want to write your introduction, for example, okay, you have your idea, you've done your literature review, and then you've written the rough draft of your introduction, the way it's going to look and everything. Okay, Now, instead of now saying, okay, this sentence is not this, this sentence is, oh, this sentence is not right, this one is not right, okay, you can just put the whole sentence, put it on ChatGPT, and then ask it to correct the grammar. And within 30 seconds, it will do it for you. Okay. So it's like the same way, the same debate in the 1970s when calculators came out, and people were saying, should calculator be used for, by students in the class, in the classroom, in the exams? And it's a low lot of people were saying it is going to cause this, it's going to cause that. But at the end of the day, people see that calculators are just tools. Okay. And it's the same thing with AI now. Okay. So, but the important thing is not to use AI in place of your brain. Okay. Use AI to help you to arrive at your goal faster. Like I was saying before, quite a lot of us, we have the problem of structuring language, sentences in the way acceptable to English speakers. Okay. Okay. When you send your articles to such journals, they tell you go and edit it or send it to natural language speakers and things like that. But nowadays, using things like Quillbit, ChatGPT, and co, you can do your correction, okay, and all those corrections will not take you 20 to 30 minutes, and your English will now become grammatically acceptable, even to the Queen of England when she was alive.
Thank you so much. First of all, I'd like to ask participants, normally we stop on the top of the hour, but there seem to be very critical questions, and I would like to ask you that please let us extend this to another 10-15 minutes before we call it quit. Esther, you raised your hand. Please, can you put your question in the chat box so that I can synchronize questions rather than opening it up for speech? There's somebody here that asked Professor Oluwadia, that is high impact journal relevant to help practitioners just want to contribute to the body of knowledge without any quest for academic promotion?
You mean publishing high impact journal?
Yeah, maybe they can publish in middle and low impact rather than high impact. They're just practitioners, they just want to contribute to the
what is doing is doing well. So
exactly,
if you can publish in high impact journal, do it. If it is middle impact, do it. Okay, low impact, do it. But the important thing is that make sure that your article is ethically sound, scientifically sound, and so on.
Thank you very much. So one person is asking, please throw more light on journal indexing.
Journal indexing. Okay. You have the various bodies that has databases of articles. Okay. So these include, for example, PubMed, include Scopus, Schemago, Webs of Science, and so on and so forth. So basically, indexing means when a journal, okay, when it is listed in those databases. And once a journal is in those databases, every article that is published by such a journal will appear in the indexing body. That is basically what indexing means. And the reason why indexing is, just by the way, let me make it clear in this instance that Google Scholar is not an indexing body. So the fact that your article appears on Google Scholar does not mean you have that article is of high impact or of good quality. No. The way Google go through its listing is different from the way PubMed does its own. The way Google does its own is that there are what is called web crawlers. Okay, these web crawlers are just actually computer programs that go through all the websites and will list everything it finds in all websites. Okay, so whether that website is good or bad or not, it doesn't concern Google. Once it is there, it lists it. Okay. On the other hand, indexing bodies, they have their criteria. For example, PubMed. Before you can get indexed on PubMed, you must have been publishing, that journal must have been publishing consistently for at least 4 years with no break. And then there must be other things. They will look at your journal website to see, to look at your peer review process, to look at your, what do you call it, editorial board, and things like that. It's only when you have satisfied their criteria that they put you on their database. The same thing with HAOL, although it's not as rigorous as PubMed. The same thing with Scopus, and so on and so forth. And that is the reason why once an article appears in any of those indexing bodies, okay, people assume that those articles are rigorous and they are scientifically okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There are many people that are really saying thank you, but there's one, there's Dr. Mr. Mrs. Adewale Adeyeye, who goes on to write and really discourage preprint. I think we did hear from Professor Dia about there's nothing that doesn't have its advantages and disadvantages. It's for you to weigh the advantage against the disadvantage and take your position. But we would not agree with you on this platform that it is outright. I do know journals that when you do preprints, they ask you to declare it so that it informs the plagiarism check. It is, I'm sure it's a low level journal that doesn't understand preprint and balances it out when it's doing its plagiarism check. Many journals are very aware about preprints. In fact, the journals I publish ask, do you want a preprint from their own platform? And they send it as a preprint. So it's about being open. Once again, remember when we started this world, me and Professor Oluwadi has been here ages. Don't think the fact that you're not seeing gray hair now doesn't mean that there aren't gray hair growing inside. When we started, Open Access Journal was really stigmatized, terribly stigmatized. But here we are today, that's the way to go. So yes, preprint is definitely the future. It got opened up by COVID, and it's better we learn how to maximize the space and make the best of it. I'm looking for, yes, those that are asking for, if you registered, you will most likely get access for those that registered. Yeah, thank you. Would you speak, you have some, yes, Professor Fola Eston is asking, would you please speak about misuse of ChatGPT and proposals to prevent such vis-a-vis like the nuclear bomb or the dynamite that was built for good but ends up being used for bad? How do we prevent misuse of ChatGPT? Thank you, Professor Fola Eston. Over to you, though. And I think that might just be our last question.
Thank you, sir. Professor Fola Eston was my teacher in school.
Yeah.
I talked briefly about that when I was answering that question, but I'm going to go over it again. Where technology poses problems and technology also poses, will also pose a solution. Okay, as I'm saying now, there are also websites and software that can also determine whether whatever you have submitted, whatever you are publishing is actually generated by AI. Okay. At the last count, there are close to about 8 or 9 such websites to software, okay, that does that. One of them is what is called originality.ai. Okay, and basically when you go there, the passage that you feel is not that you feel is generated as such, you place it there, and it will tell you the percentage probability. Now, be as it may, okay, some of these, they are not perfect, okay, and studies have shown that really, and the fact is some can be false positive and false negative. What they tell you is, this is a so percentage chance of it being of it being generated by AI, so percentage of it being generated by human. So when you put it there, it will show you. There are about 4 to 5 or 6 of them. And well-trust people, they have also looked for ways by which, even if you generate this by AI, the way ways by which you can manipulate it so that it appears as if it is not being generated. Just some 4 or 5 days ago, I received a mail from Originality AI telling me that they have upgraded their algorithm, and now that thing is now up to 99%, 99% correct in doing all those ones. So it's like I kept on telling people when we were discussing this, it's like when internet first came on and the issue of plagiarism became something that is quite rampant. Okay, initially it was difficult to monitor, but then later, after a while, you see the development of software like Turnitin and so on that helps in checking this menace. Okay, now as it were, we are in the early days of AI, so it's a wide west as far as that is concerned. But in the nearest future, within the next few months or so, because the rate at which AI is developing is astonishing. Okay, we are going to actually have important, very good programs that will do that. And I'm sure right now, a lot of publishers are already incorporating AI detection in their normal publishing processes. So that if you generate whatever for your AI and it goes into it, they will tell you, oh, this thing has been generated by AI, and they will reject it. What I would advise every one of us listening here is this. Write your paper the normal way, and then use AI to actually help you to correct the grammar and syntax of your language. They will do that, and there will be not any problem. Won't be any issue. The other thing that the publishers may be requiring in future is for you to actually submit. You see, nowadays, they ask you to submit your data so that it will stay in repositories. In future, they may be asking you to also submit all those jottings you made when you were, how do I say it? When you are brainstorming and doing all those ones, because those are the things that will show that really you originated this thing yourself, and not any AI. Okay, but like I said, it's an interesting word, a brave new word.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell every one of us who are here, in the next 1 year, things are going to change in so many ways.
Dramatically.
We won't recognize where we are now. Okay.
I completely agree with you, Professor Oluwaja. It's a brand new world. And for our generation, we have to brace up and embrace the world fast, otherwise we'll be left behind, sadly. If we want to be current and relevant in another 10 years, we have to understand and learn first. I think we have a question, and that's the last one I'll take, and hopefully you answer very briefly. He says that AI of recent, ChatGPT, to be precise, I discovered that some of the references cited by this AI seem not to be real. Each time I try to confirm the references from the journal quoted, it is not always available. Prof, what's your take on this? That's the final question.
ChatGPT does not access the internet, so it won't give you any reference. ChatGPT, the last all the what do you call it? All the data it has access to was up to 2021. Anything after 2021, ChatGPT is blind to it. But AI tends to hallucinate. AI, when you ask them questions, they won't tell you they don't know. It will confabulate for you. And when it confabulates, it sounds so convincing, so authoritative, so real, that you will take it hook, line, and sinker. You do that at your own peril. I've asked AI simple questions, and it will fail you. Let me tell you one quotation that somebody has made about AI. He said it's a technology that is at the same time, that at the same time stupid, and at the same time very profound. So it is left to you to take the profound out of it and make sure you reject the stupidity. Okay, but be as it may, there are new AI that are coming up now that will actually give you their, what do you call it, the references. Okay, Bing GPT will do that for you. U.com will do that one for you. And then there's also a Chrome extension, okay, and that is called Web GPT. That if you install on Google Chrome or on the Edge, okay, and you turn it on in Chat GPT, it will allow that Chat GPT to access the internet simultaneously. But the outcome is not really that whatever. Like I said, my experience has always been that
okay, Professor G, I don't know if it's your internet or my internet. We've just come to the top of the hour, 15 minutes. Professor Oluwadia, are you there with me?
Yes, please.
Excellent. So please show appreciation to Professor Oluwadia by using your reaction. Oh, geez. Apologies, you lost me there. Please, can we show appreciation to Professor Oluwadia by using your react buttons and waving and thanking him? It's been a brilliant educative time. We can't thank you enough. Thank you, every single person that has been here today. We will come again next week. Is the manuscript up? One, for everyone that registered, whether you're here or not, we would send you his slides as soon as the slides sent it to us, as well as the recording for your access and use. Once again, please don't abuse it. Use it wisely. And then we would inform you about our next meeting. For the next 2-3 meetings, we are hoping to bring editors of journals to discuss with us what it is like writing manuscripts. This is all from the Manuscripts Writing Org. What we do at Manuscript Org is to build a competency around writing manuscripts. This has nothing to do with grants. This has nothing to do with proposal. It's just about writing quality manuscripts, hoping our members to get into Q1, Q2 journals, nothing predator. We don't want to go anywhere near predators. Thank you, Professor Oluwadia, once again, for helping us understand that predator journal is not the way to go, even if you're so much interested in getting your promotions on time. Writing in predator journal is dangerous. I rarely get peer reviewed. When it's peer reviewed, it is purely peer reviewed, and therefore you're putting toxins out there for the world to build evidence around. So please do not do anything. Try and find out the journals you are going. Please avoid predator journals like you would avoid anything you dislike very badly. On that note, thank you, everyone, and have a good evening. Bye.
Thank you.
Oshodi, fine boy.
You're welcome. Take care.
Thank you. I'll see you behind us. Bye.
All right. Okay.